a big problem for rural Ireland is that the two big parties who are Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, and we can nearly add Sinn Féin to them as well, their policies are City based. And City based policies do nothing for rural Ireland and do not any harm for rural Ireland. And it doesn't matter who you elect in rural Ireland, if they're in those three parties, they're party whipped. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples. I asked Robert Troy here in Westmeath to fight against carbon tax on the diesel. Well, he says, I can't. He says, it's party policy. But I said, Robert, that's not much good to be like. I said, carbon tax costs me a fortune. Can you not work and try and change it? I said, you're high enough up. You're high enough. He thought, no, he says, it's party policy and I can't change it. Well, then I said, Robert, there's not much point voting for you. If you're not going to work for me, what do you expect? And then we had Peter Burke, who stood up in a meeting and said, I'm a farmer. I'm reared on a beef farm. 3 months later, votes for Brazilian beef to come into the country. You can't have politicians doing that. So, that's the Fine Gael party. That's the Fianna Fáil party. Voting for them is a total waste of time if you're from rural Ireland, because their policies are city centre based, don't include farming. So their rural TDs have no say and are no help to us. Sinn Féin, I challenged Sinn Féin, I challenged Matt Carty on the climate bill. I said, Matt, please don't support the government on the climate bill because it'll wreck rural Ireland. And he said he wouldn't. Then, of course, Mary Lou slashed the whip and they all had to vote for it. And when they voted for it, they said, oh, we'll get in a whole lot of amendments to take the harm out of it. They got in no amendments. So the climate bill got in, and then Eamon raised it up. Oh, we have the full support of all our own TDs, the Green Party, Fianna Fáil, and we even have all Sinn Féin. So basically, everybody wants the climate policies. Now, there are a couple of good ones in it, fair enough, cut emissions and things. But most of them are closing down Bournemouth, costing the Midlands here thousands of jobs. Absolutely crazy stuff. The climate bill got rid of Bournemouth, stopped the Bournemouth factories from burning peat, and just import coal and briquettes from Germany. You go into a petrol station now, you can only buy German peat briquettes, you can't buy Irish anymore. This is the problem with those parties. So we then have to look at who have been fighting for rural, who has fought for rural Ireland in the government in the last 4 years. And we're very limited to who we have. We have a lot of good independents. We have Michael Fitzmaurice, Richard O'Donoghue, Michael Collins, done Trojan work. A few more independents on their side as well. Carol Nolan has done great work there, Lee Shoffley. She's been very vocal on all the blogs and that because she's in the heart of it there. But McNamara there down in Clare, Catherine Connolly, we have very level-headed politicians in the independents. And only for Michael Fitzmaurice at the Ag Committee, agriculture will be almost finished. He has stopped the Fianna Fáil and Fine Gaelers doing so much harm and pulled them across the table and sorted out so much issues. And I follow all this behind the scenes where a lot of people wouldn't see what's going on. But only for the like of those TDs in the Dáil, we'd be in savage trouble. So our only hope going forward is to get more of those TDs into power. More of what's called common sense TDs. More people who have a brain and common sense to fight for the rural people. Because, as I said, the Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil policy is city-based. So that's no good to us. And as I said, I have challenged Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil TDs on issues for Westmeath, and they just didn't do anything for me. So that actually has to rule them out. So for a farmer to vote for a Fine Gael or Fianna Fáil politician again, you want your head examined, because they're just out to do us harm. They're not out to do us any good, and they've proven it. And I go by track records. I don't make up rubbish about anyone. I go by your history. And I check out your history. I see what you have done to us. Well, you're not going to get a chance to do it again. So going forward, we have to support who has supported us. And that's how business works. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. You work for me, I work for you. We cannot support people who are doing harm to Ireland. And all the main parties, Eamon Ryan has destroyed Ireland. He has destroyed Fine Gael and he's destroyed Fianna Fáil. And there's something serious wrong with Fine Gael when there's 13 or 14 now running for re-election. I know some are retired, but there's other younger ones just running for the hills because they know they've wrecked themselves. So, Independent Ireland there now is a new party set up by the independents. They're putting up a lot of candidates there now.
Have you considered it?
Huh?
Have you considered it?
I would be considering it. I'd be talking to them lads regular, and I'd be helping them out on research there on issues. It's a huge step to have to go. So it's a huge step to take, but I don't know what to do. What's represented at the moment is not represented, and that has to change. So, look, if I see somebody else going that I think can do a great job, well then I'll support them. If I go myself, it's because I don't see anyone else any better than me going to do the job. So I have to decide that. But like, I have looked at all the what would you say, the competition, and to be honest, there's no competition as far as common sense goes, because unless you're able to think like Michael Fitzmaurice and Collins and Donoghue and them lads, you're not headed in rural Ireland. We're in huge trouble in rural Ireland. We're in huge trouble with the decline. Like, even down to getting planning permission out the country now is very, very hard. And if we don't get young people building out the country, rural communities are dying out. And like, when you put a house out the country, you keep the local clubs going, you keep the local pub going, the local shop going. It's a knock-on effect. But if you don't allow young people building in rural Ireland, and it's shocking that farmer sons are getting hard to build their own farms. Like, it's just crazy stuff. And they expect you then to go in and build in a town and live in a cramped situation in a town where you're paying a massive mortgage because you have to buy the site, you have to build everything in there. And then you're gone out of rural Ireland, and rural Ireland dies. And go down across the west of Ireland now, and there's towns just dying out, villages dying out. Because if you don't have, like, I live here 2 miles from the village. I support every shop in that village down here. The men employed here are from the village. They live in the village. They support all the shops, pubs, restaurants, even the barbers, the hardware shops. That's how an economy works. And if we don't have people thinking like that, to keep everybody going, and let everybody help everybody, if we don't have that, we're in huge trouble. And the government policy at the minute, Eamon Ryan's policy, is for no more houses in rural Ireland. And that's going to just wipe out rural Ireland. We can't, like, he wants to plant the whole bloody country. But if you can't take out farmers and expect the communities to survive. They won't survive. So we're in huge trouble there. And in the independent Ireland, the rural people, the rural politicians that are going forward, are all on the same page of common sense to keep rural Ireland open.
Fight for rural Ireland. Fight for what Ireland is.
Yeah. And cut out the waste, because all those TDs that I know that are in rural Ireland are all self-employed. They've all employed people. They've all wrote a wages check on a Friday. They've all paid their bills. They've all borrowed money on machinery. They've all paid back their payments. They know how to run a business. And if you know how to run a business, you'll run anything. But when you have gobshites in power who have never had to save money, who have never had to be accountable to anybody, we're fucked. We're in huge trouble. And that's why, like, it's very important who we vote for in even the local elections, the next elections, and the European elections. We have to vote for people who are supporting us. And this thing of staying party loyal, like your father did and your grandfather before you, to Fianna Gael or Fianna Fáil, that's over. Now, the polls are showing you it's over, because they've gone from, like, sure, Fianna Fáil were up in 70% 20 years ago. They're down to 18% today. And I seen the polls there later where independents have gone from 4 to 5% back 10 years ago up to 18, 19% at the moment. So people are seeing who are there to help us.
I think the next election will show a big change.
Well, it has to show a big change. Like, there'd be no change if the current government did their job. But they haven't done their job. Like everybody is up against the open border policy. And there's an open border policy. Like, Roderick O'Gorman sent an email around the world in 8 languages, inviting everyone in here to get social welfare. Like, what was he thinking of? Who put him up to it? What planet was he on? He wasn't representing me the day he did that. He wasn't representing anyone in Ireland the day he did that. That man at the next election just needs to be dumped. Out. Scrap heap. Gone. Failed. Goodbye. Never be heard of again. It happened before with politicians, and it's going to happen again. And if you don't work, like you're like this is like a horse racing. You're only as good as your last race. But like to be flooding communities, I go down to the west of Ireland there now, and they're putting in hundreds of migrants into every town, into the hotel accommodation, and leaving no hotel accommodation for tourism. Like Killarney was the tourist capital of Ireland. It's a kip today. It's in huge trouble down there. I was talking to a Kerry man last year, 50 years of age, who was afraid to walk down Killarney at 11 o'clock at night. Why was he afraid to walk down Killarney in Kerry?
Something he's probably doing for the last 30 years.
Done all his life. And that's the government policy. So that needs to change. And the only people that's going to change that is people with common sense, because what's in the government don't have common sense. Now, maybe they're led by Europe, but is it time to tell Europe to go away with themselves? Is it time to stand up to Europe?
Are we strong enough to do that as a country?
I think if you do, Europe wouldn't belong pulling in their horns. I think we're being bullied by Europe, and we have people who are too weak to stand up to them.
But when you look at the size of Europe and the power that Europe have, Ireland's a very, very small country compared to it.
It is a very small country, but there has been a big awakening up there this year now with rural Europe going back against Europe. The rural farmers with all their protests. Like, they got an awful lot of laws changed there this spring. An awful lot more laws that we even know about here, even smaller stuff. Like on the production cuts and all that. They got a lot of that reversed in Europe, because they said enough is enough, we're not taking this bullshit anymore. But who's making up this rubbish? Like, who is doing it? It's all Green Party led. It's all Green Party led, and like, we have the Green Party here leading Ireland. Like, Eamon Ryan wants Ireland to be the lead on everything in the world. Like, what planet is he on? Because he's just not living in the real world.
No.
You know? So going forward, in rural Ireland, we need to support independent Ireland big time. Like, they need more TDs. They need to get 25 TDs in the next election and form part of the next government with probably the likes of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. But like, when we have the people inside the gate in the right places, then the others won't get away with what they've been getting away with.
Yeah.
Like, we need to get a group of rural TDs to definitely replace the Green Party in power. If we do that, we will save rural Ireland. If we don't do that, rural Ireland is finished. It's as simple as that. You can't have it both ways. But you can't watch what's after happen again. You know?
Yeah.
So we have to call a stop to it. And they're the only people that are standing up. They're the only people, like, look at this. Two Fianna Fáil councillors there in Connemara stood with their local people against the migrants taking over the hotel down there, and they got thrown out of the Fianna Fáil party. But they're running as independents now because, and fair play to them. Fair play to them for standing up for their people. Because around here...
That's what they're elected for.
That's what they're elected for. You know, that's what's like, it's like me asking Robert Troy to fight his next. Oh no, I can't do that. But sure, so what's the point in you being our TD if you're not going to fight for us?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, Colin Markey was out in Europe, MEP in Europe, and he said at a meeting there lately that we need MEPs in Europe to fight for farmers. He went out the next day and voted for the nature restoration law. Like, how could a farmer go out and vote against farmers and think he's representing them?
Far from it.
Like, he was sent out to represent us. We pleaded with him. Like, I'm in the IFA. I'm on the National Environment Committee IFA. I do an awful lot of research on environmental issues for the IFA, and I know it inside out. And I personally pleaded with Colin Markey not to vote for the Nature Restoration Bill. And he went to vote for it. And I said to Colin, you're not talking to a clown here now. You're talking to a guy who works on this and knows the harm it's going to do in the Midlands here on our farms. Now, he's above and loud one of the driest farms in the country. It won't affect him. But I could lose 70 acres here if that got through in his strongest form. But he didn't care. Why not? Like, what's going on in their heads that they can turn against their own people? That's what really, really annoys me. So we have to pick people to represent us in local elections, national election, and Europe. We have to pick people who will fight for us, not people who will say one thing and do another. And that's a very, very important point. Because Colin Markey stood up at a meeting and said, I'm the one to fight for farmers. 12 hours later, he voted flood farms. So had he a very short memory?
Yeah.
You know? Like, there's Sean Kelly going around the country at the minute trying to organise meetings about supporting farmers. Sean Kelly was at a meeting and he said, I'm a proud IFA man, I have my membership card in my pocket. IFA member. He goes out the next day and votes for the net restoration of the flood farms. And he's going around now looking for votes. Should have man's a disaster. He's not representing Ireland. He's all there this week supporting the migrant bill to bring in more migrants. Did he come and ask the people here, do we want more migrants? I don't think we do. I have no problem with anyone to come to this country to work. Come to work. You're welcome. But don't come here to live off our social system and commit crimes. We don't want you. It's as simple as that. I'll let any man into Ireland or any woman in Ireland who comes here to add to our society and work and make Ireland a better, safer place. But by God, do not think you're going to come in here and lie around and commit crime and rob people, kill people, and draw a dole and send it home out of the country. And if that's all you're coming here for. But our government are bringing in every scumbag in the country. Like when you see 4,000 or 5,000 coming in last year with no passports, there's a company who do the drain jetting of Dublin Airport. Used to get a call every now and then to clean the block drain. It's got to the stage now where they've left the lorry full-time at Dublin Airport to clean the drains. And what are they taking out of them? Passports. Passports blocking the sewer systems. And then they come in, oh, me from Ukraine.
Yeah.
You know? And the government falling for it. That's what... It's soul destroying to see the way this country is being wrecked. And there's areas of Dublin now where it's not safe for an Irish person to walk at night. Now that's wrong.
It is very wrong.
You know?
Very wrong, yeah.
Very wrong. And there's areas of England where an English person can't walk. And I saw a video of a girl, I think it was in Leeds, and Sharia law was being enforced in that area. And the British police wouldn't go into it. Now, there's something wrong with that's happening.
Yeah. It's just plain to be seen. We can all see it.
You know. And I have no problem taking in people from a war-torn country and they can go back home when the war is over. But there's loads of room in Western Ukraine for all Ukrainians. There's 9,000 hotels open for business. So anyone coming in here saying they're Ukrainian. And I was watching the protest down in Roscrea there, in the hotel in Roscrea, and the people were all against it. And all Ukrainians coming in, all Ukrainians. A busload of dark-coloured black people came in. They're not Ukrainians. They're black Ukrainians. They're common sense.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, Ukrainians, and then a busload of blacks turns up. Now, I'm not being racist in any way, but I hate the government telling us lies and selling us a pup. Because that's what they're doing. They're not telling us the truth. Like, these migrants coming in, the majority of them are not Ukrainians. And I was talking to a lorry driver like yourself, and he drove across Europe after the war in Ukraine started. He came back into France. He parked up outside Paris for the night, and he went on to Calais the next morning. And when he got to Calais, he was afraid to go up the night before because he said, you know the way Calais was full of the migrants?
Yeah.
And he said, they'll try and wreck the lorry or get into the lorry. And so he stayed 50 miles from Calais, drove on the next morning to the port, pulled up at Calais, not a black migrant to be seen. Nobody to be seen. And he pulled up at the security barrier, and there's a policewoman there, and he said to her, do you mind me asking you where's all the lads gone? Oh, she says, she stood back and she looked at the side of his lorry, and there's an Irish flag on the side of the lorry. She says, they're all gone there, Ireland. He says, how did they get there? Oh, she says, they all left here and went over to the Ukraine. I went up to the Ukraine and into Poland. Me Ukrainian. And they were flown in here. I had a farmer here one day buying stuff off me, and he was from Leitrim. And he said there was a house beside him that was closed for years. House got done up, and a Ukrainian family put into it. And he said he'd call in and say hello to them, and he did. And your man, he said, now this guy probably have no English. Jeez, your man had perfect English. He got chatting to him. And he said to him, was your house bombed in the war? Are we in the middle of the war? No, he says, I'm in London for the last 9 years. He said, I'm in London. But he says, my brother came over here. And he rang me. He says, get over here quick. He says, everyone's free. So your man landed in Dublin. I'm a Ukrainian refugee. Come on in. Paddy will look after you.
It's wrong.
It's wrong. It's so wrong. And then you can see genuine Irish people homes.
Yeah.
It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. And until we get a new government with common sense people in power, things won't change.
You may use that slogan on your election posters. James Geoghegan, the common sense councillor.
Well, sure. If I run, like we have to have common sense, and we have to have people who can see what's going on, because an awful lot of people are going around with their head buried in the sand and don't really follow what's going on or cop on to what's going on. And then, so look, I don't know whether I'm going to go or not. But people like me need to go anyway. If it's not me, it needs to be somebody with my way of thinking, with a common sense way of thinking, and cut out the waste and cut out the expense on people, because an awful lot of this is expense on people. And if I was to run, I'm not just running as if I do go, I'm not going just on a farming issue. I'm going on a whole rural Ireland issue, and it's all for the people. All this housing stuff, education, health, it's all costing people money that it shouldn't be costing them due to bad management. And we have to cut out the bad management. And as I said earlier, if you want people to run a business, a silage contractor is a very good run a business, because if he has survived a silage, he'll survive anything. And that's the bottom line.
That's true. That's true. James, thanks for having us down.
It's just great talking to you. And,
educating the Vatn.
Yeah, sure. We're doing our best. We're trying to do our best, and the more people who can learn a little bit more about what's going on, about all the issues, the better off we will be eventually. Yeah. But it's going to take men talking like the way I talk, or Christopher talks, and who can educate people through the issues. And until we get more people like us doing this, we're going nowhere.
No. Well, that's why we're doing this video.
Fair play to you for asking me to do the video. I'm delighted to have done it. Give you a help out, and best of luck in your travels and in your work. It's great to have men like you doing this work as well, because only for you we wouldn't be getting this stuff out into the public domain, and hopefully somebody can learn something from it and help yourself, because if you don't help yourself, there's no one else going to help you.
No. That's it. There's too many boys who'd rather see you on your back than standing up. Yeah. So that's the story. Hopefully the weather will take up and we won't be standing around chatting. We'll get out and do a bit of work, because at the minute now, it's a bit sticky out there. It is. Right, James. Thank you.
Cheers.